So before we started this podcast, I was filling up the water and I was putting it back in the fridge and I spilled water all over the floor. I do that a lot and I understand. I'm just clumsy. Have you ever been clumsy?
No, I've never been clumsy. And you make fun of this. I'm very calculated. I think things through. I'm very careful. If I think that something has the potential of falling, I'm 12 steps ahead.
That shows you how your brain works. My brain works.
Yeah.
I'm also ahead, but when I'm doing something, I don't stay focused on that thing, like filling a jug of water and then putting it back in the fridge.
Right.
I'm already thinking I need to move across the room to go to the podcast station to set up to start this podcast.
That's
so
the problem.
I'm putting this in and turning too early. I need to stay focused on my task at hand.
Right. And aren't you reading a book about staying present?
We're going to talk about that today. I got things to talk about. You know, I was thinking about this. I was at the gym this morning.
Yeah.
And there was something on the TV that made me think about school's about to end.
Yes.
Summer's about to begin.
Yes.
And I wonder how many parents, what's the percentage that have anxiety about the fact that their kids are now full-time in the household?
Oh, I know. I've had friends deal with this so much. And the answer has been summer camp for a lot of my friends.
Oh my God, really? Well, if you can afford it, that's expensive.
100%. It's so expensive. I remember talking to, by the way, welcome to the Childfree Connection podcast.
Sorry. Yes. Welcome. We just jumped right in.
But yeah, I remember specifically asking one of my girlfriends when we lived back in New York, because her son went away to camp for the whole summer. And it was super fancy because I remember her and I would hang out a lot during the summer because she was free. She only had one kid. And she would get updates, video updates, photo updates of the activities they're doing and all these things. And she was just telling me about all these fabulous experiences he was having. And I remember looking it up and thinking the amount was insane. Now, you know my memory, so I can't remember, but I mean, it was definitely over $10,000 for the summer.
So let's come down to reality for those who can't afford to spend $10,000 for summer. Do you think parents that can't afford that have extreme anxiety and maybe a little depression going into the summer? I would. That's why I'm bringing it up. And I'm not saying all parents.
It's a tough call. And also, I mean, I grew up where we didn't have any money. So in the summers to me were really boring. And I know that my parents definitely had anxiety because they both were working 2 jobs and now they have kids home that they have to think about and worry about. So yeah, definitely. So it's possible, right? Because you have to think of fun things to do all the time.
I remember coming home to start my summer so excited to tell my mom school's over, and I can now look back and think she's probably like, great.
Can't wait to have the 4 of you running around all day long.
Exactly. So I like to begin these podcasts with why I'm grateful I'm child free, and this one's a doozy. I'm going to say doozy.
Yeah.
People say that anymore, by the way?
I don't think so.
Okay, let me take that back. This one's a good one. And I like to dive deep, so I don't go into surface level grateful moments of being child free. Not that there's anything wrong with those moments. Those are great. But this one is in my orbit a little bit.
Yes.
We don't have to deal with kids going through relationship breakups. That's tough. Yeah. I'm so happy we don't have to do that. I mean, that's like a big... I don't even know if I have the tools personally to give good advice. I think you do.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I know why this is coming up for you. We do have a family member that's going through a really rough breakup right now. And yeah, you're right. Having to deal with those types of emotions, especially from teenagers when, I was a disaster. I remember being 15 and thinking the whole entire world was over, except I didn't have my parents to lean on. I didn't really talk to them about this stuff.
That's true. You had to handle it yourself. Makes you who you are today. Question for you, though.
Yeah.
Do you remember that first real gut-wrenching heartbreak that just tore you apart?
Yeah. I don't think it was a breakup. I think it was we broke up. So I was really upset, but I didn't really have people breaking up with me.
Oh, you were one of them. You were the heartbreaker.
No, I just don't mean that. I think that even if you're doing the breaking up with someone, it's still really painful and it's still really hurtful. It's just a little bit different.
Was it someone that you weren't able to land as your boyfriend and that's what broke your heart? Or were you in a relationship and they broke up with you?
Nobody broke up with me.
Oh my God, it must be good to be you.
No, we're talking about high school, right? So no, nobody broke up with me. I think I was just upset that the relationship was over.
I have a string of relationships that
Yeah.
I was the one that got broken up with. Well, I'm happy we don't have to mitigate a
Yeah.
relationship
Yeah,
breakup
me
scenario.
too. So today we're going to chat about the not so obvious perks of living a child-free life. So we're going to dive into that in a little bit. But something I wanted to bring up to you on the podcast was imposter syndrome because we both
Mm.
suffer from imposter syndrome. And even when it comes down to this podcast, we're not really sure
What the hell we're doing?
what we're doing. We don't know if we should keep doing it, if we shouldn't keep doing it. Does anybody care? We can get really in our heads about it. So I thought the podcast was a good place to talk about it. You and I are both getting into our heads way too much about what we're doing here. What do you think?
I love the curveball. So I just want to start by that. I did not know you were going to bring up imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is really tricky because it comes in waves. Like you'll feel really
Right.
good about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be hiding in a corner a week later going, what the hell am I doing right now?
1,000%. And I
Yeah.
know that if people are watching or listening, they can definitely relate to this because it happens in pretty much every aspect of life. It definitely happens with relationships, it happens with business, even with my program, with the women in my program. I'm doing it right now. They're doing great. We're moving forward. And then all of a sudden, I can just think to myself, and I start spiraling in my head, what if I am not helping them enough? What if they're not getting the support they need? And just all these questions start just floating around until I am able to shut the noise, right? And just say to myself and show myself some self compassion, which we can talk about because you and I have been talking about self compassion a lot, and say, you are creating these stories that are not true, that do not exist. Take a few breaths. And I've done that with my program. And I think that you and I started to do it with the podcast a little bit because we started wondering, does anyone care? What's the point? And all this stuff that was going through our heads when at the end of the day, all we're doing is talking about how much we love our child-free life, how much we enjoy our community, how much we want to be there for people who have chosen this. And really, that's it. And we're just
Yeah.
overcomplicating it.
Yeah, we all do it. We all future travel in our
Right,
heads. Where is this going? What are we going to be doing?
right,
And we sometimes also look back, like, what have I done? How has my past affected my present? And how is it going to affect my future? And one thing I'm learning, you have to stay in the present. You have to
right,
stay in the moment, in the day, because the past and the future don't matter. Back to the imposter syndrome, what I have found that's really helped me is go with my gut and how I honestly feel.
right.
I'm not going to map anything out. I'm not going to overthink it, but I have to just go with how I feel. If it
Yeah,
becomes overcomplicated and really structured and hard, it becomes less organic. And when it becomes less organic, it
right.
feels inauthentic.
In reality, we don't have any control of what everybody else is
Mhm.
thinking and feeling. But all we really have control of is this you and I and this room and this conversation that we're having right now. So that's where I am. That's why I wanted to bring it up because you know me, I struggle with perfectionism and I struggle with thinking about the other person and people pleasing and wanting to make sure that everything is perfect and the best and all of that when I think that our friends here who are listening or watching are just that, just our friends at this point
Yeah.
and that's all it is. So I'm happy to move forward without us spiraling into our heads. So I wanted to bring it up because I think that discussing it publicly probably a lot of people will be able to relate too because I know that we're not the only ones who spiral into this
Yeah,
abyss of doubt.
we were mind melding. I mean, I was about to say that if anyone that's listening that has this feeling, and we all do, you are
Yeah.
not alone. And
Yeah.
bringing it back to you, I mean, you've been going through a lot. You put a lot of pressure on yourself, and I see it. And when you put that pressure on yourself, it overwhelms you and it
Yeah.
breaks you down and you freeze, and it's not good for your mental health. So I'm
Yeah.
proud that you're aware of it. Oh, but you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You okay?
Mhm.
Yeah, I know you. I see it, and I can only do my job as your partner to relieve some of that pressure and not put extra pressure on you. And you need to do your part and make sure that you're really working hard to not take on unneeded pressure.
Right.
Everyone's going to have pressure.
Right.
And we had a really good conversation even before this podcast. I didn't know it was going to come up, but I'm happy it did.
Yeah.
But you're going to be okay. You're going to
Yeah,
be okay.
no, absolutely. And I think that for the people that have been listening to the podcast, my mom is was diagnosed with dementia, and it's just been a real big struggle.
Yeah, I know.
And
I
it's just
know.
like pouring into the rest of my life. So you're right. I am putting a lot of pressure on myself, but I really love doing this podcast with you, and I love having these conversations. And I didn't mean to cry. I just wanted to bring it up and say, like, let's just keep going however we're going and however we're doing, and just, do our best. And that's all we can
Yeah.
do.
Well, I am sorry you're going through that. I mean, it's tough.
But I
This,
feel better. I just had to shake
yeah.
that off.
No, I know. And just remember,
Yeah.
having kids, we'd have a lot more pressure to handle all this crap that happens in all of our lives.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to bring up that tomorrow is a very, very special day in our home.
Mm,
Tomorrow marks the 5-year anniversary of you being alcohol free.
that's right.
And I am very, very proud of you. I am very inspired by you. And I am really grateful that you choose to speak openly about your battle with alcohol and how your life has completely transformed since you stopped drinking 5 years ago. So I wanted to say an early congratulations because I
Thank
am
you.
really, really excited to celebrate with you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. I've been waiting for 5 years. I don't know
Right.
why. It's
Yeah,
me, it's
it's
like it seems
yes.
like
It's
a
very
long time.
significant. I mean, I think this whole time is significant. I think a day, a week, a month is significant. But yeah, you have been waiting for this 5-year mark. And you told me that, well, once I get to 5 years, I'll feel prouder of my
Right.
accomplishment. And you definitely should. I mean, I think it's just been an incredible ride to watch you go through this.
Yeah. Now I'm excited about 10 years. So there's that to look forward to.
Yeah,
Um,
it's something to look forward to.
Once I stopped drinking, there's these different phases during this journey, and I'm in this fifth year phase.
Right.
Every year is different. The first year, there's this feeling of, oh, I don't feel like crap anymore, and I feel healthier, and I'm going to make all these goals and change my life. Second, third year, fourth year is all different from that. It's not easy. It's reinventing yourself is not easy, but true change is something to be proud of. So it's less about not drinking alcohol.
Right.
It's more about truly changing myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I said it's been so inspiring to watch. It's been really impressive. It says a lot about your character, about who you are, about your strength, about your confidence in yourself. It's not an easy task or feat, and you've done it. So you should be really, really, really proud of yourself. And I'm really excited to celebrate you tomorrow. And in addition to it being your 5-year alcohol free anniversary, it is also marks the end of our no pizza, no burger 30
I think
days.
I think I'm more excited about that than actually being alcohol free for 5 years. Gosh, I miss pizza.
So I'm going to throw you under the bus here because you tried to end this
I know.
weeks and weeks. Rick would keep saying, let's just have a slice. Who cares? Let's just have a cheeseburger. Who cares? It's ridiculous. Why are we not having things that we enjoy?
I just kept thinking
So,
again, speaking of in my head, I
yeah.
think, oh, life's short. Anything could happen tomorrow, and I'm not going to have a slice of pizza or a burger. But I do feel better. And it's good
Mm-hmm.
to have these small micro milestone challenges, which we're
Mm,
also doing in our
yeah,
community.
which we're doing inside our membership community. So, yeah,
Yeah.
super excited to have the pizza of your choice tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. 2 things to celebrate. And yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Yep. That's happening. So I read this article yesterday. Another celebrity couple came out and announced their child-free life.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Megan Mullally and Nick Offerman.
Oh, yeah.
You know
Megan
them?
Mullally from Will and Grace.
They were citing the fact that their busy careers and desire to prioritize their relationship and personal pursuits was most important to them. And that's why they did that. One of the best perks that we have identified is being able to work on our relationship.
Right.
And I just think that is such a crucial one. What are your thoughts?
I think it's cool when celebrities say that they make an announcement that they're going to be child free, because we live in a society where what celebrities say really matters. So it gets all the press, it goes viral. So the more that celebrities come forward and say that they have chosen a child free life, that they love their child free life, I think it just helps in general. And I do agree with you that their reasonings that you mentioned was, their career and their wanting to focus on the relationship is something that we feel as well, and so do a lot of people in our community. So, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes complete sense.
No, it's great. They're normalizing it.
I don't know if you noticed, but another thing that I wanted to bring up was these parking signs that we've been sharing in our community.
Oh, yeah.
Carrie had posted the first one. I just posted one yesterday because I went to the drugstore. And what these parking signs say is, hold on, let me take a look at mine. So mine says courtesy parking, families with young children. And I think that the other one that was shared was families only. I can't remember. So I'm just wondering if anybody who's listening or watching has seen these parking signs where they're solely for families, and what do you think about them? I'm just wondering if it's a national thing, if it's a global thing. Why are these new? Are these popping out of nowhere? What's going on with these?
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you if they're new. I've never seen them before.
Yeah, I don't know either. So I'm interested to see if any of our listeners have seen these parking signs that are just for parents or kids or families.
I think one of our members parks in those spots. It's just hilarious.
Does.
It's great. I love it. It's so fun. But I feel like you need to have more than 3 kids to
Right.
park in that
To
spot.
park in the front, because it's
And
basically the convenience of handicap parking because it's right next to it.
oh,
So
it's
you're
like right in
getting
front.
VIP spot. Why do you think that these exist?
Can I put on my conspiracy hat?
Yeah, of course.
I think it's pronatalism.
Oh, that's not conspiracy. That's a fact. Yeah, it's
No.
absolutely.
It's not necessarily a fact. I
Yeah.
mean, you're basically saying people are putting up these signs to encourage people to have kids so they get a better parking spot.
Oh, that's what you're saying?
Yes. That's my tinfoil hat moment today.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's an encouragement to procreate so that you can have a
Oh,
good
look
spot
at
at the
it's not
store.
just about the parking spot. Look at all the perks. If you have kids, you get the
Right.
tax breaks, you get free
Right.
front parking, you get
Good VIP parking. Okay. All right.
yeah.
I mean, that could be it. But yeah, that takes us right into the not so obvious perks of living a child free life, which you and I talk about all the time. And we thought it would be fun to share it on the podcast as well.
I'm
So,
so excited about these.
yeah. So the first one that we wanted to bring up is that as child free people, we have the ability to customize the layout of our home. And what I mean is that for whatever reason, so I know that we did a reel not too long ago talking about what we do with the extra space, because people don't understand, if we don't have kids, why would you need an extra bedroom? We were just saying like that is such a nice perk to have, to take the space or extra room in your house if you have some and do whatever the hell you want to do with it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it gives you the freedom to do whatever you want in any room. We don't live in a 2-bedroom right now, so we just have our 1-bedroom. And so we don't have the
The whole
extra
other
space.
story, which we'll
That's
share with
all.
you.
We will
Yeah, there's
not talk about that
a lot of
today.
behind the scenes development going on with that situation.
So let's future travel
Yes.
that we said we wouldn't do and have a
Yeah.
hypothetical new
Yeah, this is
apartment.
just hope. Yeah, to
Yeah,
keep ourselves sane.
Exactly. If we had a second bedroom,
Yeah. When?
thank you, when we had a second bedroom, what
Yes.
will you do with it?
Well, we've talked about this, and this is hard because ideally we want 3 bedrooms, right? Because I do like having a guest room, and we absolutely need an office space where we can work, we can shoot content, we can do this podcast, so we're not doing it in the kitchen anymore.
I know.
So that's definitely what I'm looking forward to, is just having space to do our work and just be able to close the door and go in there and do our thing. I know that people use their extra room for their cats. I know that someone said they have a cat room. People share that they have a sewing room. They have remember when we lived in Long Island City in New York, we had the yoga and meditation room. So that was
Oh,
nice,
that was
right?
the
We
best.
had candles going, and we had a little mini water feature, and we had our yoga mats in there. And people just get really creative with their hobbies and their crafts and their passions with the rooms in their house. So that is definitely a perk, just to be able to use your extra space and your extra room to really just play and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, we have, I mean, I'm forgetting a very obvious example. We have one of our very close friends who has the entire room dedicated to her pole because she's
Yep.
really into pole dancing.
Yeah. I was
So
about to bring
that's,
that up.
yeah, exactly. So we're able to have this perk of choosing what you're going to do with the space in your house. I think that's really cool.
And a little added perk, it's nice that the stuff that you do buy and you create this wonderful space doesn't get destroyed by children. I got to throw that out there too. I'm serious. I
Yeah,
see my friends' houses.
exactly. Yeah, and also now that I'm thinking about homes, it is also a perk that we don't have to childproof our place, because
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember when we were living in Lion City and our friend Billy came over with his 2 little kids. He was just on top of them, and because he said that our house was so dangerous, because everything
Yep,
he
I
said we
remember that.
had was pointy and sharp and glass and fragile. So he was just really laughing at the fact that we don't think about these things. We don't have our outlets were out in the open. We just have, it was a complete danger zone for his kids. And I don't really think that they ever came back. So
I
it
was
was
actually I remember that, and I remember being so confused. I was just like, "Really? That's a thing?" And
Yeah,
he's just
because
like,
at the
"Yeah,
time we had this gold leaf coffee table that was super, super, super pointy on every
yeah."
edge. And it
It's
had
like
never
razor
really,
blades.
yeah, it never really occurred to us that that was dangerous until his kid almost slammed into it. So,
Yeah,
so yeah,
I'm not good with mess, as you know, so
yeah,
that's one of my favorite perks is to be able to have my stuff in the place that I want it and it to
yes,
feel clean and good and
yes,
not get messed up.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You know, another one I was thinking about that I think about a lot is job loss or financial shifting in your
Yeah,
household. I mean, that's just hard enough.
yeah,
But if you have kids that you have to support and something like that happens,
yeah.
I can only imagine where my brain would go. I
I
think I would panic. I would panic so bad. Aren't you happy? Aren't you happy that we're not in that position?
especially so much. We have so many friends that are getting laid off right now. And it is just really challenging to get that bit of news and to have such a life change. I mean, you just never know. We get all these all of a sudden out of nowhere bills. Like, for example, we had one of our friends' water heater broke and they thought that it
Mhm.
was just going to be a couple $100 to have their person come in and repair it. It turns out they needed a whole new water heater $10,000 later. So it is such a perk to be able to navigate these crazy financial waters as child-free people, because we can just keep trucking along, like you said, without having to worry about little ones.
And it's just nice, you know, once again, to only have to really take care of ourselves if something were to go wrong, you know,
Yeah,
it's
it's
feeding us.
true. And we've talked about it in our community before, where as child-free people, whether you're single or whether or if you're in relationship, it's easier to deal with, if we have to eat cereal, not well, we don't really eat cereal, but I'm just making that up. For dinner, we will, right? If we have to just make a sandwich, we will. Like, it's just easier to focus on ourselves when these life tragedies happen like this. So, and also we have the space to just dust ourselves off, pick ourselves up, and keep going without this added pressure. So we love that. We love that
And
perk for sure.
and we don't have to explain when there is a financial shift
Right.
in the household.
Yeah.
We don't have to explain that to the kids. I remember
It's
my
true.
parents, my dad made a really bad investment and we used to get crazy Christmas gifts.
Right.
And he made this bad investment. And I remember my mom pulling me aside on Christmas Eve and saying, "This Christmas is going to look a little different." And I remember being like, "What? What do you mean?" So we normally get like 8 gifts each, one from Santa, one from your brothers, one from us, one from so and so, one from your which they bought obviously. And now you're just going to get one. You're going to get one gift this Christmas. And I threw the biggest temper
You're such a
tantrum
little
like a
brat.
spoiled brat. But I mean, imagine that, you know, your
Yeah.
financial things shift
Yeah.
in your household and you've got to
Yeah. No,
turn to your
absolutely.
3
Yeah.
kids and say, "It's grilled cheese and potato chips for the next 6 months until daddy finds a job or mom finds a job."
Yeah,
That's tough.
no, it is really tough, and I do remember one of my girlfriends losing her job about 2 years ago, and her daughter was graduating, so she had to incur all the costs of prom and graduation and the dress and the pictures and the photos, so it was a really, really, really stressful time, so yeah, I
Mm.
agree that this is definitely a perk that we should not forget about.
What's another one that you appreciate that is not as obvious as most?
Yeah, another one that struck me, I remember a couple years ago is privacy because I was talking to one of my girlfriends. She was in the bathroom and her kids were just banging on the door wanting to come in. And she just made a joke that they're having a hard time that I'm in the bathroom talking to you because they're always in here when I'm showering or I'm going to the bathroom. And I was just so confused because I don't it's just not something that I think about that
Yeah.
little people are following you to the shower and when you have to go to the bathroom. So I think that privacy is something that we tend to forget that we have it all
That's a
the
good
time.
that's
Yeah.
that's a good one, and I always think of the movies too when there's the couple trying to have sex
Yes,
when the kids
exactly.
aren't around, like, "Oh, the
Yes.
kids aren't gonna be home," or, "They are
Right, we
home,
have
let's."
12 minutes, right,
Oh,
before we get this
gosh.
opportunity
That's a
again.
good one.
Mhm. Yeah, privacy is super, super important, and it's something that we probably don't think about enough, and because we just don't need to.
So what about leaving the house quickly on a given moment? Just where you need to leave, you need to get out of the apartment or house, wherever you're living.
Yeah, that's one that I forget about a lot because we did a reel on this too, and because there was a comedian that talked about this, how child-free people, if they want to leave the house, they just grab the keys and leave the house. And parents have a completely different experience because there's just so much that needs to be taken care of. So this is one that I don't think about. Do you think about it? We just leave. When we want to go, we go.
I mean, we've been conditioned to just leave and that's our normal.
Right.
But now that you brought it up, thinking about the preparation, I mean, just getting Eddie, our dog, ready, putting his harness on. I'm just like, oh my gosh, here's the harness. We got to take him out. We got to get the leash. That to me is overwhelming. Can you imagine like packing
No,
backpacks,
no,
having
no,
lunches ready, making
no.
sure that their shoes are on, that they're dressed appropriately?
Yeah,
No,
no,
not
no.
for me.
So it is an amazing perk to just be able to say, "Okay, you wanna go? Let's go." It's just something that we do all the time, we don't think about, but it's an important perk to be aware of.
Yes, I do love leaving the house quickly. It is my favorite thing. What's another one? I love these.
Another one is not having a booked solid schedule. I don't know if it's so different with women and men, but it's just true because I've seen it with my girlfriends. I see their schedules. You might have seen it in movies when they have the family schedule, maybe on a blackboard or on a
Or the fridge.
whiteboard, and it's color coded and it's what days is what and what's going on through the weekends. And I think that a perk
Just
for
so you know,
us
that's already giving me like anxiety just thinking about all that.
and I think a perk for us is that we choose, right? I think it was 2 weeks ago that you said to me, "Do not make any plans for us this weekend. I am doing whatever I want. I'm doing my own thing. I don't want any commitments. I don't want any plans." And I said, "Yeah, sure. That sounds fine." And it's a perk to be able to do that because you wouldn't have that perk otherwise. And it's just so nice to be able to have that option.
Yeah, again, I didn't even think about that. That's such a good one. I mean, I need my weekends at time to be completely free and clear of doing nothing.
What if you
That
couldn't have
was
that for 8 months? You didn't have a free weekend, right?
complete misery. Just completely miserable all the time and complaining and driving you nuts.
More so than you do now.
More so than I do now. Being able to block out your calendar. I mean, that was a stressful week and I needed the
Right,
weekend to do nothing.
right.
And being able to do that, outside of your career responsibilities or whatever, what have you,
Yeah.
it's so nice. It is absolutely. We were talking about that on another podcast about how our child free people bored, and we reframed it
Yeah.
and said, "Sure, why not? Boring is relaxing sometimes."
Right.
You
Not
know?
doing
So
anything doesn't mean that, and also not doing anything doesn't mean that it's boring. You're just not doing anything, but maybe you're choosing not to do anything.
exactly.
Yeah. So, and the other cool part that I was thinking about was that even with our child-free friends, we can easily reschedule with them more so than with our friends who are parents. So,
Oh,
with
yeah.
our child-free friends, it could be a last minute, like, look, I had a day. Let's just do tomorrow. There's just an ease and flow with the schedule.
Yeah, I made a huge mistake once,
Yeah.
and there was a big golf outing I was going to do with a friend, and he has 2 kids, and I canceled the last minute, and he let me have it. He was just like, "Do you know what I had to do
Right.
to create this?" He didn't talk to me for a while.
Yeah.
And again, that's naive. You got to remember that people,
Yeah, it
whether
is
you have kids or not.
understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, with yeah, if for a big event like that, you don't wanna cancel last minute, but there is a lot of thought involved and where we can just, not have that kind of complication to our schedule. So, yeah, being able to just say, "I'm not doing anything this week or this weekend or tonight," is definitely a bonus. Another not so obvious perk is being able to listen to the music that we want, when we want, whether it's a podcast in the car or a show here in the apartment, because I was at a friend's house who has kids and they were blasting kids shows. And when we were in the car, they were blasting kids music. So it really makes me appreciate that we can listen to whatever we want to listen to.
Yeah.
And you know how I feel about children's music.
Yeah, I know, it drives me crazy. Yeah, I
It
was about
drives
to
me
say,
nuts. Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine, going for a drive and having to listen to, like, Build-A-Bear, is that I think that's a thing.
No, that's not a thing. That just shows how little we know.
Oh my
It's
god.
a store. Build-A-Bear's a store in the
Build-A-Bear's a store? I thought it was a person or a thing or like a
Build-A-Bear is where kids go and they stuff the bear, they make the bear, they dress the bear. I don't even know if it's in business anymore, but it used to be in business back in the day, so
Are you serious?
yes.
Oh, Build-A-Bear.
Yes.
I thought that's hilarious. I thought it was like Build-A-Bear. Like there was like a bear named Build-A-Bear. Wow. That's that's hilarious. Yeah, I'm not a fan of I can't stand it. I can't stand when you go into a Toys R Us, not that we go into a Toys R Us that often, but like when you go by.
I think Toys R Us is out of business, and it has been for a long time.
Is it really? That's well that this is our world though. If you think about it, I haven't been in Toys R Us because there's no need, and I don't even know that it's out of business because I don't need to know that.
No,
That's a
absolutely.
child-free perk. That's a child-free perk. You don't have to worry about like what type of cartoon is on trend or what kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, we have
That's a
no
lot of
idea
work.
what kids are watching on YouTube or what shows. I couldn't even name a children's show. But anyway, the point is that we can listen to whatever we want, whenever we want. So I think that's definitely a perk.
Yes, very happy we get to listen to our own music and our own podcasts and we get to do what we want. One I want to bring up is
Yeah.
that's really important for me is holding space for people that we care about and having that time to do that.
Yes.
I just think that's huge. I mean, we were talking about that a little bit earlier with you, and you were really opening up about how you just feel this pressure to be there for so many people. So it's a blessing and a curse. You have to really balance that, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. But I mean, I love being able to do that. And I think that we've talked about it with a lot of members of our community that it's nice to be able to hold space. Like we talked about earlier, we had a member of our family going through a breakup who just picked up and flew here to spend some time with us. And we were able to offer up some support during that time. So just being able to hold space for the people we love, I think it's huge. And it's definitely something that we really treasure and care about.
and guess what? If you come to visit us like a family member, we have an extra room that's not messy. We don't play children's music.
It's neat and clean. We may
You'll
have
ha-
sharp corners though, but I think
you'll have privacy. If there's some sort of financial issue, you don't
Yeah.
have to pay for a hotel because we can hold you up,
right.
and lots of other great perks.
Yeah,
And that's what this
exactly.
is about.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's just another reminder. I think that sometimes even you and I go through day to day life and the people in our community, and you don't really realize there's just so much to be grateful for.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I open up with a grateful moment every
Yeah.
podcast because there's just so many of them, you know? So I'm going to continue doing that. And as always, this was an amazing chat. And as a quick reminder, don't forget to rate, review, and follow us. We're going to get the message out there. People can learn all about the
Yeah.
child free life.
Yeah, exactly. And it has to do with what we were talking about earlier, right? When we were discussing imposter syndrome, that we definitely appreciate supporting you. But if you could support us back by rating and reviewing, it would really, really mean a lot to us. So thank you
Yes.
in advance for that.
Yes.
And yeah, we'll see you next week.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.